Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic
Ladies and
Event.
gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight on DentonRadio.com. We are coming at you live from the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the ever-cold, ever-darkening Denton Square. I am sitting with who I believe is the new songbird of a generation, Mr. Luke Meadows. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Pretty
So
good.
real quick, I want to kind of fill the audience in on how I didn't discover this person whatsoever, how I just met you the first time I ever saw you play. So this was, I think, 2 weeks ago. You were playing with Body English and another group. Who were you playing with?
Trademark Paradise.
Okay, wait, say that one more time. Trademark Paradise?
Trademark Paradise.
Okay, very cool, man. And so I had never heard of this band before. I didn't know what to expect. But correct me if I'm wrong, you got called on stage. You weren't on stage at first, were you?
No.
Because I remember you were sitting like front and center.
Yeah.
All right. And I think it was like you had on Vans. Yeah, the Vans caught my eye.
Always.
And then you went up there and, like, ladies and gentlemen, he just killed it. Like, you were, what was the song that you sang? You know, it's like Change Gonna Come.
Yeah.
Who was that by again?
Sam Cooke.
Okay. See, man, for some reason, I kept wanting to combine, I said Sam Green. Al Green.
Al Green and
I kept
Sam
wanting to
Cooke.
combine those
Yeah.
two today, and I could not remember it.
Sam Cooke's the man.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I just kind of want to start this off, man. I just want to give people a background on how I met you because that's one of my favorite experiences. There's a few people who I've interviewed who I've just met, and I'm like, I have to talk to this person, and you know, I got to know the story. So you're playing with Trademark Paradise and Body English over there, but man, we're gonna start it off with the first question that I ask everybody who comes here into the studio on this show is, what is your first musical memory?
First musical memory would be my dad playing the piano around the house.
Very cool.
Always when I was a kid.
Right on, man. Right on. Was there any like specific songs that he liked to play that you can remember?
I never heard my dad play anything after about 1970.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's
he
cool.
He was into 50s and 60s like country bluegrass music.
Very cool.
So that's about all I heard growing up. And then I can remember my first music that I felt like was mine was a Casey and JoJo CD.
Woo!
It was a tape.
Yes.
The cassette tape, and I literally wore that thing out until I couldn't listen to it anymore.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like right before we were like I said, mine was the Garth Brooks thing.
Yeah.
And my parents went and bought me this Garth Brooks. I think his album was called America. It's just like the American flag like across his face. And I wore that tape out. Like I don't listen to really country music anymore, but you play some Garth Brooks, I still go crazy for it, man. So, Dad's playing the piano. Do you have a predominantly musical family? Is there anybody else in the family who plays music?
Yeah, my uncle was the big music guy. And well, my grandpa as well, but he passed away in the mid '60s. So
Okay.
I never got to meet him. But my dad's uncle actually played in churches all throughout my life that I know of, and actually got I think asked to play guitar for Charlie Pride.
Nice.
Old country singer.
That's
and
really cool.
Yeah, just did that his whole life. One of the best guitarists I've ever heard in my life.
That's cool, man. So it sounds, you know, your dad was playing. You said he was playing a lot of country and bluegrass on the piano, which is something that I've you know, you hear some piano in like that old school country, kind of like you're talking the outlaw country of that area. Not a lot of. I haven't really ever heard a lot of. Maybe I'm just ignorant to it. A lot of piano and bluegrass. So I'm sure, like, I mean, if you're playing bluegrass, you know how to pick, you know how to play, you know how to do your job. So was he just real quick on the keys?
Yeah. He plays a little different. Does a lot more movement with his left hand than his right hand.
Okay.
So he just found a way to do it. Found a way to make it work. It always sounded good.
Very cool, man. And so where did you grow up?
Was born in Bryan, right outside College Station.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've driven through that place on almost to College Station.
Yeah. So kind of country, middle of nowhere, and then moved to Gunner, Texas, also middle of nowhere, and that's probably my first memories being out there, and then moved to the Denton area.
Very cool. So when did you move up to the Denton area?
I was 12.
Okay, cool.
So I think
man.
I was in the 3rd or 4th grade.
So a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Some people like I've talked to on here, and they've lived here their entire life. Like, they went to school for a little bit, and then they came back. And so now this kind of makes sense, kind of this country vibe, because like I'm saying, like when I first saw you, I mean, I didn't experience the country music. So, I wasn't like, oh, this guy's listening to a lot of country, but now the Casey and JoJo makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so I never connected much with with the country music in like an influential way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love it, always respect it. There's some phenomenal bluegrass musicians, some of the best musicians in the world, but definitely connected more with R&B and things like that growing up.
Very cool. Do you have any siblings who play music or anything like that?
I have a brother. He's 30, and so a lot older than me, and we didn't live together for much of my life, but he's a guitar player himself and plays the mandolin, and so
Yeah, I know what it's like to be 30. Be a lot older than everybody else. I turned 30 in June, so
yeah.
I'm still getting popped from my younger friends from time to time for it. I get called dad
awesome.
a little bit often, but it's
I'm
all
still
right.
young.
Yeah,
so.
I consider myself young. I don't feel 30 at all. I feel like
That's good.
I feel like perpetually in a state of 25.
That's
And,
good.
Kind of gonna grow up, but not too much. So you moved to Denton, 12 years old, and that's when you start going to school out here in this area. And we were kind of talking before, like 12, 13, 13, 14, those teenage years, and when you start to develop the feel for your own music, like what you like, that kind of stuff. So the first tape you had was the Casey and JoJo. You weren't so much connecting with the country and bluegrass. What was it that you started to connect with in those kind of younger and those molding years?
In those younger years was actually I listened to a lot of metal music, and I think it was just because all my friends did.
Yeah, all right.
And so yeah, it was a big thing in my high school. We had a couple like metal bands that were kind of big in the Dallas area, so it was fun to get out to those shows and fun to play with them and to have other people that you could go and jam with.
Yeah,
and just play.
Drop some names. Do you remember these bands? Like
one of them was Tuesday Aggression.
Okay.
They turned into I think they're called Closure now. Yeah, it was a friend of mine, Hunter Ali, and so I can remember going out to their shows a lot when I was younger, and yeah, and then as I got older through high school, that kind of moved past that and everything, and started doing a lot of pop music.
Okay.
Doing pop music, and then started falling in love with some of the jazz elements of pop music and the hip hop elements of pop music and where that was going, and so I started to really kind of reconnect with that.
Mm-hmm. What do you consider pop music?
What's popular? What's on the radio?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Cool. Right on. Yeah. Some people will be like, "Oh, well, this was pop music." So you ask pop music like, "Oh, the Beatles." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I thought that was classic rock," but whatever that is. So but okay. So now I have to ask you, just so I can get an understanding. When did you graduate high school?
2013.
Okay, cool. 2013. Okay, cool. So now I have an idea of what the pop music was that was going on at that time, man. So very cool, man. So you're kind of listening to the metal music. I want to really kind of look up this band called Tuesday Aggression that's turned into, what are they called now?
They turned into Indirections and then into Closure.
Okay, cool.
And so yeah, that was some people from around the area that kind of were Dallas big.
Yeah, I wonder if to this day I can still go and type in certain names when I was in high school that were big from my area, and their MySpace still exists. Like the original 2006 MySpace page with the band and like the hair combed over the front.
Oh man, I would hate to go back and see what I had on MySpace.
Oh man, I don't do it. I just ignore that. I'm like, that's just not
so
a place I need to go back to anymore. I don't even want to know.
Who's on my top 8?
Yeah, I want to know what was my profile song when you clicked on it. What was my last AIM status? That's what I'm really curious about. Like, when did that come about? All right, man. And so you, what high school did you go to in town?
Lake Dallas High School.
Okay, so you went. Okay, cool. So you went to school in Lake Dallas. Very cool. Very cool. And so then you graduated from Lake Dallas, and did you decide to go to UNT for performance of any type, or?
I really wanted to do jazz guitar.
Okay.
That was what I really wanted to do, and it was one of my biggest regrets that I didn't do jazz bass.
Oh, okay.
I'm definitely a better bass player than I'm a guitar player, but I enjoyed the guitar more, and I just expected to go in and have a bunch of cool solos and everything, and so I was a little disappointed by it, and actually switched my major, and then decided that was a mistake too. So I went back and did a Bachelor of Arts in Music instead of a Bachelor in Music to kind of avoid the performance side of it.
Now, did you because we kind of I missed this, man. I'm getting real excited. We got a lot of different stuff to talk about here. When did you start playing an instrument? Because what I have seen you do is you've used voice, the instrument of voice. So when did you start playing an instrument? What was your first instrument?
First instrument was bass. I think I was 10. I got it for Christmas, and I saw a live video of Brian McKnight. It's like the first concert I ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, his bassist was just, that gospel bass. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then I picked up a guitar. I quit playing football in high school, and my dad said, man, since you got all this time, I'll buy you a guitar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so then you started playing the guitar. Now, one thing that I have always been frustrated with the music that I kind of grew up with when I was in high school was very pop punk. It was Blink-182, Alkaline Trio, Taking Back Sunday, all this kind of more emo stuff. And the bass got lost in that music. Like, you were almost confused. Like, I remember my dad being like, what's even the reason for the bass? It's like, there's no groove.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I got older and I was exposed to funk, and like that stuff, and really started to understand the importance of a bass guitar within the actual realms of music. So I think it's cool that, like, at the age of 10, you were playing on the bass. Then you started playing the guitar. And so what is, like, I can play guitar. I might be able to play a bass if you put it in my hands. I have an idea. What is kind of the transition like from going from playing the bass to playing the guitar?
Well, I actually didn't initially go into it knowing, like, even really how to tune it or anything. And so I just kind of found a couple notes that I could put together that sounded decent, and just kind of got comfortable with strumming and with picking everything. And then kind of got with my dad and my brother, and they kind of led me, into the right tunings and into the right things mechanically.
Yeah.
And so it actually wasn't too bad, because I already knew the notes on a bass. And so I could figure it out pretty good. So it wasn't too bad.
Nice, man. Did you play any shows like in high school, or were you in a band or anything like that?
Yeah, I was in a band called Yesterday's View.
All
actually.
right.
And I hate saying the name. I hate admitting it. It's so embarrassing. But yeah. If you talk to anybody who knows me, they know that it was an embarrassing time in my life. So
Look,
yeah,
man, I mean, I had my skinny jeans phase, and this was like 6 years before you graduated. So trust me, I look back at some of those photos of me, and I'm like, my goodness, like, what were you thinking? What was that haircut about? But
yeah, it was just cool to be able to come together. And my best friend at the time, Tyler, he had a studio in his house.
Okay.
And he was relatively, a pretty good producer for our age,
How old were y'all?
I was 14. He was 16 when we started.
Very cool.
Yeah, we wrote a song for his aunt's wedding, and then we were like, man, let's just do something with this.
Nice,
we worked well together, and so yeah, we just went with it as far as we could, and it was fun to have some sort of presence at following in our area.
Man.
So
I mean, yeah, you never know what a small, like, little songwriting session can do.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you realize who you can work with. You work with well. Next thing you know, Yesterday's View is born.
Yeah.
I had to say it one more time. So you're about 14 when you start getting involved with this group. Were you playing bass or guitar?
I was playing guitar.
Okay, right on, man. And so when did you kind of start to sing? Did you always kind of sing, or like just for fun or whatever? And then
my first time ever singing on a stage, I was 6 actually.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it was at up in Gainesville. They used to have this Gainesville Opry, and so it was the church that my dad's uncle was at, and they would go up there and have these big jam sessions for the church and everything. And so I learned a song and went up there, and my dad threw me on the stage, and we did it together.
What was the song?
It was called "We Could."
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you who it's by, but
Yeah.
it was it was a long time ago.
So can you remember that pretty well at the age of 6, being up there and doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I got up there and did it.
Man, so that could almost be like the second musical memory in a way, like the first time you were up there in front of people performing.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not a lot of people who are comfortable getting up and singing in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
Playing the guitar can be very nervous, playing the drums and all that stuff, but when you're the front guy, that can be a very nervous kind of situation. So I feel like at 6 years old, that was some good practice.
I mean, still to this day, the brighter the lights, the easier it is.
Yeah.
I can see less people.
Yep. Yeah. That's how I feel it too, man. Like, there are times when I play at places that are dimmer and everybody's right there. I'm like, oh man, this is.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess anything up here. I hope it sounds good. I hope the sound guy shows up. Like all these questions. So. How long did this band that you were playing with last, that you made with Tyler?
We were doing it probably 2 years, and went through a couple drummers, and then a bassist, and it just ended up being us at the end, and we just decided to kind of go our own ways. And
Right on, man.
and he was getting more involved with some other musical things, and so was I, and so we just kind of went our own directions.
Yeah. So then you end up coming to UNT. Like I said, we were talking. I was like, wait, I got to backtrack here.
Yeah.
I got to backtrack. So then you end up coming to UNT, where you at first you said, and correct me once again if I'm wrong here. At first you started with you went to school for guitar. Is this
Yeah.
correct? Okay, and then you changed it to bass.
Okay.
Okay.
My biggest regret was not doing bass.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
Because I really think I would have been more successful and gone farther with it. But I just had a negative view of the bass for some reason.
I mean, that's kind of what I was saying earlier when I was like, I grew up with this idea that the bassist was just a dude who like stood there and went like this, you know. And
exactly. And now watching him, I'm like, man, bassist is shredding.
like,
back there.
yeah, when you watch a bassist who can really play, you're
Yeah.
like, oh man, like
So-
what was I thinking back
Yeah.
then? And now I see why my dad was so frustrated growing up listening
Exactly.
to funk and Motown and all that. And he's like, this is not how you.
It's grunge music.
Yeah, this
it's
is
grunge
this
bass.
is garbage.
Yeah.
You know, I remember on a vacation driving home one time, he would let me play my music sometimes just to get me to relax. You
Yeah.
know, and I was Blink 182, of course,
Mhm.
13 years old, 14, and he was so upset with it. He's like,
What is this?
he was
See,
just,
that's
he goes, I
exact-
can't even hear anything.
That's exactly how my dad is now.
Yeah, you know, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's my cousin. So proud of you. Love you. Thank
Hi.
you, Brittany Bone Tempo. I like the tempo part of it. You know,
Yeah.
it makes y'all seem even more musical. You know, and Bone is French for good, so your name is Brittany Good Tempo. Just so you know.
That's so
You
funny.
know?
Hi.
Yeah, exactly. What's up? So then, man, you're going to school. You said, and then you changed yours to a Bachelor of Arts of Music.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I got that right, and I'm gonna try to get a few things correct here. And so, where do we go from here? What was the next step for Luke Meadows after, like, hey, I'm gonna get this degree? Then what did you start to do after that? What was the moves?
I'm still in my last semester.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I graduated in 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, yes.
So it's
That's what
coming
I like
up.
to hear. Yes,
coming up.
That's awesome,
I'm ready.
man. Yeah, like I said, I'm 30, but I just graduated last year, so it took me a little while to get there, but I made it happen eventually. I just ran into a buddy who I hadn't seen in a while, and I was like, "Have you graduated?" He's like, "No, 4 weeks." 4 weeks. He's like, "I'm done with my capstone."
It's coming
He's like,
up.
All I
yeah.
gotta do is chill. And so you're gonna have that degree now. Now let's get to where all of a sudden you're now playing on stage. You know, who did you kind of meet? Who did you start to hang out with? I mean, you're in the music school and the programs and
Yeah.
stuff, so you're kind of knowing people. But when was it that you kind of said, or did somebody else say, "Hey, Luke, you can sing, man. Like, let's get you on stage with us."
Yeah.
When
So,
did that kind of come about?
Me and one of my best friends, Jackson Bailey. He's the most phenomenal drummer I've ever heard. And so we were hanging out one day, ran into each other at school actually, and I can remember actually asking him, "Your name's Jackson, right?" You know, that's
Yeah.
we didn't know each other that well, and so man, he was like, "A buddy of mine's trying to start a band. Why don't you come over? We'll jam a little bit." So I went over there, and it just didn't work out. You know, the direction they wanted to go, the direction that we
Mhm.
kind of wanted to go wasn't going the same. And so we were just hanging out one day. He said, "Man, I think I want to go buy a cajon." So we went and picked up a cajon. I just bought a new guitar, and so we just went out on the square, on the square, and went to UNT and just jammed. Just started
Yeah.
playing some stuff together.
Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know, what is a cajon?
A cajon is it's a box drum. It's from Central America, and it's got like a bass at the bottom and a snare up top, kind of.
Is that what they're doing when they're hitting the different parts? Because I've always wondered, like, are these guys just having fun moving their hands
Yeah.
up and down this thing?
Yeah.
or
So
it-
So it's got bass at the bottom, snare at the top, and then I've only seen 2 people ever do it ever, and both of them are my friends, and they'll actually use a brush as like a hi hat.
Oh, nice.
So it's cool. It's kind of a different style
Yeah.
than what the thing was made for.
Can you kind of like brush the side of it in a way too when it makes that noise, or like do you just tap the brush and it
they
gets
just
that hi
tap the
hat?
front.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. That's very cool, man. So you guys just kind of went around the square jamming,
Yeah.
just playing
Yeah.
music.
And so I mean, we would get people just coming up, and I actually made a lot of friends. Met my current girlfriend. We've been together 2 years, just jamming. She just came by and watched.
That's what's up, man.
And and then we started doing open mic
Wait a minute.
nights.
So you met a girl just busking on the like, just playing
Yes.
tunes on the.
And it was
these
the
love stories. I love it, man.
it was the first night that we ever played together, and she just happened to.
See, that's when, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't think that this man can sing, he attracted a woman in less than 12 hours with his voice. This is the first time I ever played together. I had a girlfriend in 15 minutes. What do you know?
Oh, that's funny.
Like, who was missing out when they were walking by, not seeing Mr. Luke Meadows? They're like, I should talk to him. And then this angel just decided, I'm going to talk to him.
Oh, that's funny.
That's pretty cool, man. So you and Jackson are kind of jamming, playing around the square. And I, once again, unknowingly, I've seen you perform before. I just didn't connect the two. And I'm not even going to attempt the last name because I have 1,000 times and it's never right.
Tawaefa.
Okay, yeah. And I used to go up to him every time he'd play. I'd be like, Isaac, tell me how to say your name because people are going to ask who you are. Yeah. And then they're going to ask me how to spell it. I need a business card or something here, man, because people enjoy listening to you way too much.
That's why the website's Isaac T Music.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody knows.
That's some good marketing. So how did you link up with Isaac?
So I've actually known him a long time. I was really good friends with his little sister who's actually studying to be a worship leader out at Hillsong in Australia.
Cool.
So she's out there doing that. And he was leading worship for our youth at our church growing up, and I just hopped up there and played bass. I owned a bass, and I was like, I know 4 notes. I can get up there and play a song. So I started playing, and then he went off to college, came back. I started hanging out with his little sister again and with his little brother, and we just started jamming. And he asked me to open for him for a show about probably 3-4 years ago now, and then he said, man, I'd love for you to come play bass for us.
Yeah, and he plays with his brother too, right? His brother joins him on stage.
Yep.
So it's y'all three when you get
it's
up there?
trio. And we have a keyboard player that plays with us sometimes, and a drummer when we do full band.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites that when y'all did the Hotline Bling, when y'all were playing that one, that was always a personal favorite.
It's sexy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. Like every time I'd be like, ooh, IT on that track right there. And, okay, so cool, man. You play with Isaac. That's what's cool, man, is you kind of you've had a really interesting kind of musical adventure as far as, kind of like you said, you grow up in the country, you kind of move around, you move to Denton, there's some metal music involved, some pop music involved, and then you kind of started, you kind of start to see like the jazz and the funk kind of stuff. What started to attract you to that side of music from the pop and the metal and that kind of stuff? What made you say, I really like this funk jazz stuff?
It's got a beat that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about it that you feel it in, and you want to move. You can't just listen to that and not move.
Yeah, straight up.
Not bob your head or do something when it's good. It's just the beat, the bass line, especially me being a bassist at heart. Just feeling that bass, feeling the funk and the groove.
Yeah, man. Like when I first started producing beats, I was dating this girl at the time, and she had a great taste in music. I still talk to her. I actually just talked to her recently today. Yeah. And she sent me this. She was like, "Remember when you made this?" And like sent me this link to this old awful. I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like the clap and the high, everything's all off whack and everything. And but I remember if she I'd be working on music for hours, and if she came into the room and was like, "All right, play whatever," and if she started doing like this or like that, then I knew it was good.
Yeah, it's good
because she had such a great taste for the funk kind of music and those grooves and everything that you're talking about. You cannot stand still.
Exactly.
To this day. When I'm putting together a wedding playlist, if I put on very superstitious,
people get up and move.
Yeah, there are these songs that are just timeless, man. And I feel that very often it is funk, and it has to do with that bass line that people all of a sudden get behind.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's something else, man. So, how did you find yourself with Trademark Paradise on stage at Andy's that night?
So I started writing a lot of music. About probably a year ago with Jackson. Just we started doing a lot of our own shows around, and did some stuff with Bone Doggy, some open mic nights, and doing a lot of open mic nights at UNT, and we started to get kind of a following there, and so kind of started getting some shows around town, and I played a show with a guy named Tristan Coombs. You guys probably know him.
Doesn't spark. Hey, do you know him? All right.
Yeah, he's a real good James Bay voice.
Oh.
So yeah, he's phenomenal. But I opened for him, and their drummer Chris Sims said, "Man, I'm starting this group. I love your voice, man. I'd love for you to come out and sing some of our songs." And they were a little bit more instrumental at that time, as you could tell.
Yeah.
And so, but they said, "Man, there's a couple songs we really want to do, but we need someone who's got the voice for it."
Mm-hmm.
And so I came out and did a show with them. And
were there times previously, because dude, I'm not trying to like, I'm not trying to blow smoke here. You turned heads for me, man. I was like, what is it? Because I've interviewed a bunch, like I was telling you that night. I was like, I've interviewed a bunch of female jazz singers and female singers in the area, and like, male rock singers, all that kind of stuff. But I had yet to, maybe Will Niffen could get close. Maybe Will Niffen could get pretty close to what you were doing that night. The range, man.
Yeah.
The range was out of control. I mean, you hitting the highs and you were doing the lows, and everything was so spot on. Like I was like,
man, thank you.
Man, this is good. Because I've told people before, I was like, if I could sing, I would have started an R&B group a long time ago. I'm talking like the whole like dancing back and forth with wearing all the same thing like that. That would have gone down like. But
it's the good old days.
Yeah, man. But that music was fun. That music was a lot of fun to listen to. And so they just basically were like, we want to hear, we want you to play some of these songs. And
pretty much. And so actually, a couple of my originals too, we're gonna start learning and doing.
Nice,
and so,
man.
Man, it'll be fun to get a full band on that. But yeah, they just liked what they heard, obviously, and so came out and got to start playing with them, and we've done 4, 5, 6 shows so far. We're trying to get into South by Southwest this next year.
Nice. And so I guess kind of this was my question. There wasn't ever really a time maybe prior to this where somebody had let you know before this guy being like, hey man, you can, like, this is awesome, who had really kind of said like, yo, Luke, you got pipes, man, you can sing. Like,
I had always with Yesterday's View and with Isaac and everything, I'd always kind of been just the second guy, kind of just a musician singing harmonies and stuff. And so when I started doing stuff with Jackson and we started getting some notoriety around UNT, it really just kind of opened my eyes to like, man, this is something that I can do on my own.
Yeah, and you can do it. You know, like I think that for a lot of people, like we hear people give us compliments and that kind of thing. We're like, oh yeah, like I give musicians compliments. I'm like, stop, take this compliment. I'm not going to give this compliment if it's not 100% legitimate. Yeah, trust me, it's not. It's not the whiskey. It's you. That's that good. That's that good.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So it was one of those things where I immediately was like, my phone is dead. Write your number on this paper. Yeah. Like I'm putting it in my wallet. Yeah. I'm going to hit you up as soon as I get to my charger. I was even asking the girl behind the bar, Danny's. I was like, do you have a cell phone charger? Yeah. I have to talk to this guy. So you also worked at UNT as well. Yeah. My buddy Lofty as
Beats.
well. Did you just meet him through work?
Yeah.
There?
Yeah, he was the second person I ever met up there. And we obviously, both of our names are Luke, so we kind of had to connect and had to stick together.
Yeah, it's still hard for me to call him that too. I'm like he's always like, I think I may have referred to him as Luke probably maybe 15 times in the like 4 years we've known each other. Yeah, because I'll even say Luke, and like certain people who meet him, I'm like, yeah, Luke's coming out. They're like, who? Because we've never, like, even I was Kind Beats, and he would refer to me as like, yeah, Kind Beats is coming out. I'd be like, who? Oh, Michael LaCroix. Oh, okay. Oh, Luke Peterson. Oh, okay. Now we know who's coming out. So yeah, man, that's really, it's so crazy, these connections that that's like, oh, I know this guy. Oh, I know this guy, and then
it's Denton.
Yeah, exactly. Just either the smallest big town you can live in or the biggest small town you can live in. Just depends on the way you look at it, And so are you and Trademark gonna keep that name, or maybe kind of do something different when it's your performances?
No, we'll keep doing Trademark.
Okay.
And then so I think technically we brand the shows as Trademark Paradise featuring Luke Meadows.
Okay, nice.
I think it's kind of how they brand it. So they kind of have almost all artistic liberty and figuring out what they want to do, and then I just kind of come in and
just kind of come in, just kind of show up.
If I feel comfortable with the song they want to do, then we go ahead with it. Or if I don't, we come to a mutual agreement and do something else. So.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And so when it comes to voice, once again, man, I can't sing. I can't do it. I could try. I think it sounds good, and then I record it and I listen back to it, and I'm like, oh god, that was terrible. Like, I really have, in my apartment with the mics and stuff. So I get other people to do that part for me. Man, is it just practice? Or is it like a natural thing, or is it just something that you didn't ever really even think about?
For me, it's listening to the people that influence me. When I'm getting in a songwriting vibe, when I'm getting in a vibe of wanting to improve and wanting to do something and write something, I just surround myself with what I want to be like almost, So I listen to a lot of Al Green, I listen to a lot of Sam Cooke, a lot of Brian McKnight, and I feel like we've kind of lost the talent of these guys in the R&B music today. I still love it. There's a place for it, but we've kind of lost that
There's a-
talent. And so,
Yeah.
I surround myself with that. And when I hear them do a run that I like, I
Mm-hmm.
do it over and over and over again until I get it.
Nice, man. So, like, I agree with you. I do enjoy some of the R&B music that comes out today. But what I miss is that soul.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, too, it's the recording, the sounds of the recordings.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, that give it this kind of older,
Feels more
soulful.
personal, too.
Yeah. There's some of that. It's not so processed and
Yeah.
perfect on every level. And yeah, man, that's one of those things where, like, even, I mean, who would you consider R&B now? Who are the R&B artists nowadays?
Say like Drake. Drake's one of the big ones, of course.
Yeah,
Bryson Tiller. I feel
Yeah.
like
Is the Weeknd R&B?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I feel like hip hop and R&B and pop have kind of just fused to be this one thing now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I would agree with that as well, because, like, when you said Drake, I'm like, like, if you had asked me, 5 years ago if Drake was R&B, I would be like, absolutely not.
no, he's a rapper.
Yeah, but now you listen to him and it's far more R&B.
Yeah. He's so emotional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you're like, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings out there, but sometimes he's not rapping. You know,
I
what I
know.
mean, it's not like the da 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 da.
Yeah.
It is him kind of singing.
Yeah.
But I think that's when I kind of started to like Drake a little bit more, was when he
Exactly.
started to get in the feels.
I agree.
I
agree.
I remember the first time I heard on just going home. Just hold
Yeah.
on, we're going home. I was like, man, this song's
It's different,
cool.
yeah.
Now apparently that's a cover. Do you know if that, like, apparently
Is it
that's
really?
not an original? I've never heard the original
I've
song.
never heard the original.
I
I
think
have no
somebody
clue.
just said that on the YouTube thing to try to be a hater.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, first off, as far as a DJ, that was the greatest song to play at the end of your set ever. So
Yeah.
thank you, Drake, for that one, because that got everybody off of Fry Street when I was doing that back in the day. It was like, go home. And if they still were there after that, I was playing that one song that was like,
Closing time?
Yeah, closing time.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we got to that point,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, man. I mean, the R&B music, like, I still turn on like 104.5 that's on the radio now,
Yeah.
and listen to all that stuff.
Yeah, 104.5 is a lot more of that R&B vibe, that Usher, Mary J. Blige, the good stuff.
Man, have you heard this crazy stuff about Tyrese? Tyrese is apparently in a massive amount of debt. This is something
That's
that
surprising.
I was hearing on 104.5. But he apparently, like, went on YouTube and all this stuff and, like, did this big video, and he was kind of breaking down. And then, like, 2 days later, he went on and did another big kind of thing where he was thanking Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith for giving him a bunch of money, like $3 million or something like that.
Jeez.
And then Will Smith came out and was like, we never gave him a dime. Like, so I heard this on 104.5 the other
Weird.
morning. They were like, have you heard about this? So apparently, who knows? And which I was like, man, Tyrese, you can't be going down, man. Come
Will
on.
Smith,
Like,
I need money.
yeah, yeah, Will Smith, $3 million right here to my boy.
He's given.
Luke Meadows. Yeah, man. Hey, can we scroll down on this? Let's see. Brittany says, all right, let's see. She's got a question here. Let's see. I'll be playing guitar and singing at my first show. Tell me, do you ever get over stage fright, and how do you overcome?
It's actually funny. The bigger the crowd, the less nervous I am. So, yeah, the biggest crowd I ever got to play in front of was about 15,000.
Woo!
And
Where'd you do
so
that?
It was at the KFC Yum Center in Kentucky
Wow.
with a indie alternative band.
That's
and so,
awesome, man.
But it just really opened my eyes to that, like, when you can't look in someone's eyes, when it's not personal,
Yeah.
it's a lot less nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on, I feel like sometimes it's not so much about how big is my crowd, but who's in that crowd.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like
definitely
if the guys that I look up to in my realm of music are out there, I mean, it could just be 6 of them, and that could be 6,000.
Yeah.
You know, but it's and so when you get up there on stage, man, do you have kind of a way to prepare yourself before you get up there? Do you do some vocal training or just?
So
a little bit?
I have a real hard time with remembering lyrics.
Okay.
I can remember chords all day, but I struggle with lyrics. And so I just, whatever song's being played before I go up, I kind of just find that beat and I sing the lyrics to whatever's being played and just kind of lock those into my mind before I go
Yeah.
up. So I'm just constantly doing that, keeping my throat cool and.
Yeah, you're not Eminem on 8 Mile.
No.
Mom spaghetti.
No.
All over the sweater.
Oh my
getting
gosh.
nervous. I have a funny. My first show that I ever played, that was far more to me than ever like, the stuff that I had at high school. But I had this show, and it was I was like 22, so, and I was living in Colorado, and I only had like you had 15,000, I had like 250.
Yeah.
But we were in this crammed little bar, and there was like 250 people there, and I went out into the parking lot and just threw up right there in the snow.
Oh my God.
Like, I got so nervous, man. And I was just like, oh no, this is. But then after that, like as soon as I got on the stage, and I'll ask you, do you feel like when you kind of get on stage, right when you start to go, do you feel like that it just washes away?
Yeah. I just warm up.
Yeah.
You know, because I kind of, I tend to not look out as much. I tend to kind of beat up myself when I'm on stage, and you know, sometimes it's maybe too much. Sometimes I don't connect enough. So I've been trying to open up with that, but singing for me is very personal. So I try to go up there and do it for me. You know, of course I want people to love it, but you know, I want to do it for me.
But I think that's very important.
Yeah.
I think it's important to do not only performances for yourself, but just things in life as well. You know, I think that's a bit of wisdom right there. One of my favorite producers goes by the name of Lido, and he said that he was like, I made music that I thought people would like for 5 years, and then I finally just made my music that I liked, and people liked that way more than the music that I was trying to make to please them in the first place.
It's more real. It's more real. You can feel that.
Do you feel like that is the process of a lot of artists and performers, is finding, because when we first start, we want to be who we look up to.
Yeah.
But we have to learn how to not be them, but take those influences from those people. Do you feel like that's a difficult thing to go from, I want to sound like this, to I want to be able to do the things they do but not sound exactly like that?
Yeah, it's definitely tough when you surround yourself with that, not to just copy it, not to just do that, but to be yourself. And so it's not easy to have that desire, but to go out and write something that's so original.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, man, there's so many questions that pop into my head sometimes, and I get lost in them all, man. And so when it comes to the actual performance of singing, you know, like when you're up there and you're letting it out, are there specific muscle movements that you use in your chest? I've talked to other people who are like, it's the shape of the way that you the shape of your mouth, the way that you know, the way that you press the air up and out, like from the pit of your stomach. Yeah.
So definitely tightening the diaphragm, but for me, what helps me to stay on pitch is my shoulders, actually.
Really?
Yeah. If I pull my shoulders up, it kind of brings my note up.
Nice.
And so especially when I'm flipping into my falsetto and stuff, a lot of times you'll see my shoulders go up.
Okay.
So
Well, I mean, I remember that night. I'm not even gonna try to impersonate it,
Yeah.
but you were just like, "Bon!" You just threw those hands up, and that's when I was like, "Oh, get it! He's going after it, man!" Yeah, it was so good. Like I said, man, I loved that performance. And that was the thing about that night. I told Joe James, I was like, dude, I can't come to a Body English and like whoever you book before them and leave. I'm there till 2 a.m. I'm tired in the morning at work, but I've had a great time the night before. I saw some awesome music, and
he's amazing.
Yeah, dude, he is a ridiculous drummer and just an all-around good dude in the first place. So I think you're probably the fourth person I've had on, basically because of Joe. You know, because I'll go to the shows that he's putting together, and last week we had a girl on here, and Joe had said, "Yo, you should interview this girl. She's coming back into the States. She's going to play over a show over at Andy's. You should talk to her." So I did. Great conversation. So yeah, tip of the hat, you know, to Joe right there. No wag of the finger at all, man. Always killing it. So, man, we've got a little bit of time left. Once again, I just want to give a shout-out to Brittany. Thanks for the comments. You know, we always appreciate those. And a shout-out to our sponsor, LSA Burger Company, for keeping the show alive. Delicious parm fries. Highly recommend you check those out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. I know. I have a coworker who's allergic to garlic. She still eats them. Just takes Benadryl before she leaves.
Oh, my gosh.
We had a work potluck today. She's allergic to garlic and onions.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm like,
what a life.
The only thing that gets worse is salt, pepper, and chocolate. Like,
what a life.
Yeah. I was like, man, you've never experienced true flavor. She's like, no, I do. I just take Benadryl right after, and I'm good, man. So I love this, man. I mean, we've talked about a lot of different stuff tonight, man. I really appreciate your time being here. We got a couple more minutes, and like I said, there's so many questions that I could continue to ask, but we've only got so much time. So the last question that I'm going to ask you, man, is what is your favorite snack?
Favorite snack?
Yeah.
It's going to sound weird. It's
okay.
But cran grape juice with Famous Amos cookies.
That is definitely I mean, after 75 interviews, that's the craziest one I've heard.
It's so good.
Dude, and what's so funny is you have to, I'm not sure if y'all have any idea what Famous Amos is, but if you ever had a cookie in a high school cafeteria, it was Famous Amos. And those things were so good, man.
Yeah.
One more question, actually, man. I just want to know, are there any shows coming up? Where can people catch your music? Where can we find music that you're a part of? Where can we see you?
I'm actually really in a writing process right now.
Okay.
So we have an album about 3/4 done with Isaac, and you can check him out at isaac.tmusic.com. We have a lot of stuff coming up with that. And with the same producer, I got an EP coming out. It'll just be an electric guitar, my voice, and we'll get that out pretty quick. And
Nice, man.
while that's out, just to get something out there, we'll be recording a full 10 song album. And so, so we'll be looking for that.
Man.
But as for shows coming up, there's nothing at the moment.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. Well, we might have to change that very soon here.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll try to make some things happen here, man. Well, dude, Luke, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. It's been awesome having you on the show. Once again, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you so much.
we got Luke Meadows. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody before we go, man?
I love my girlfriend Cameron.
Yo.
That's about all I got. So
If you're going to catch one, that's the shout out you give right there. Before we go, I'm going to tell one more story. One more story before we get cut off here, because you just reminded me of it. I had a buddy who was skydiving one time, and he landed on the ground, and the guy with the camera goes, "James, best day of your life?" He goes, "Yeah, best day since getting married." We were like, yes! Yes, he gave you the opportunity to mess it up, and you killed it. So once again, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
been fantastic talking to you. Once again, y'all, Luke Meadows, go check him out. Trademark Paradise. You can find him with Isaac T. Once again, isaac.tmusic.com is where you said that was. Make sure you check that out as well. And once again, folks, make sure y'all tune in next week. I'll be talking to Mindy Arnett. Some of you might know that name, but she's a very famous Dentonite around here. Got roasted recently. We have got the Denton Vibe with Ellie Bell coming up next. Y'all stay tuned in right here on DentonRadio.com. We'll see you next time. Peace.
thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.